Hi everyone, and welcome to the past Business Analytics Marathon. I'm joined today by Jen Underwood for the session of introducing the reimagined Power BI platform. My name is JRJ, and I just have a couple of introductory slides before I hand the reins over to Jen. Could you just hit the next slide, Jen? So just in case you have any problems, we're using GoToWebinar for this session. If you have any assistance or require any assistance, then just put your question into the right-hand panel. And also, don't forget you can use the Zoom to maximize your screen to be able to see everything that Jen is going to be presenting for you. We will be taking questions, and the questions we will look to answer towards the end of the session. So please feel free to type your questions in, and we'll look to try and get to as many as we can in the time that's available. Again, big thanks to our sponsors, both Microsoft and Hortonworks, as well as other ones that will be joining us at the event. Without our sponsors, events like this, which are free to air, would just not be possible. So a big thank you to both Microsoft and to Hortonworks for that. And I would now like to take an opportunity just to introduce you to Jen Underwood, who is a Senior Program Manager for Business Intelligence and Analytics within the Power BI team. Jen is responsible for a lot of the outreach programs, including the MVPs and the BI Pros, as well as ISVs, and has a 20-year career in this space, and we're very, very lucky to have her join us for both this event, the BA Marathon, as well as the past Business Analytics Conference. So if you need to have any other questions, or you'd like to reach out and get in touch with Jen, you're more than welcome to on Twitter, LinkedIn, or on jenunderwood.com. So there's lots of ways that you can interact with our first Business Analytics Marathon speaker. Okay, and of course it's always important to say that we at PASS are looking to grow this community, and one of the things that we're doing is the PASS Business Analytics Conference. This is due to happen in the 20th to the 22nd of April this year in Santa Clara, and it's designed to help analysts, both business, data analysts, understand the analyst journey in terms of assisting them with discovery, integration, and analyzing of data, and using those insights to fully deliver value to the business. Okay, it's going to be a really great event. We have got some top quality speakers. And you'll see some of those at the BA Marathon today, but there'll be plenty more. So please go and have a look at pastbaconference.com, and look forward to seeing you there. Without further ado, though, I would now like to hand over to Jen and look forward to her session.
Thank you, James.
My pleasure.
Well, good morning, everyone. I'm so excited today to introduce the Reimagined Power BI platform, and I'm not even kidding when I say we really went, the engineering team went and did reimagine the user experience, the entire platform itself, the offerings, and today what I'm going to do is I'm going to open with a demo and a use case scenario. Then we're going to dig into the technologies that powered that demo and learn about each one of them, and then do deeper dives into those technologies, the individual pieces that will be seen in the demo. So right away, I don't want to make anyone wait for a demo. Let's dive right in. So just to set the background, today we're going to be talking about Bicing. Bicing is a bike sharing program in Barcelona, Spain. It's managed by the city, but it's also managed by Clear Channel, a group that each year will renew memberships to allow a different updating of the system itself. The network has approximately 420 stations of bicycles that folks share, and they drive around, or I should say ride around, to different stations. It's an eco-friendly service that the city offers. And about 6,000 bikes that a field crew that I'm a field supervisor today manages. So as a field supervisor, I'm going to use Power BI to monitor my real-time inventories. I'm also going to be monitoring social analytics to find out. Folks in Barcelona are pretty passionate, so they like to tweet and they like to voice when they're unhappy with inventory situations. So we like to keep them happy, and I like to use my staff efficiently. And so I'm opening today, as I'm waking up this morning, and I have the new Power BI iOS native app, data-driven alerting, that's showing me there's 3 different alerts this morning. Inventory at the Almacar station is less than 3, which is not really a good one. I know that that's a very, very busy station. I also have inventory at Mallorca that's down to 1. I'm less concerned about that one. I know that's a slower one. And then when sentiment is less than 0, we score sentiment on a scale. In that case, this is something that I know maybe I should be more concerned about Mallorca, because there's actually demand for it that we did not expect. So what I can do right on my iPhone before I even go to work is look a little further and determine what stations close to Mallorca that I can go ahead and pull some bikes from, and have someone on my staff on their way to work. I can go ahead and send them the notification to manage inventory. So one of the things you'll notice is the touch-friendly. I can kind of scan over and get a quick feeling for the different stations, and I see Jimenez, which is close by to Mallorca, well, does have 52 bikes, and we can probably grab a few from there. So I go ahead and I send that alert out, and I go on my merry way to work this morning. As I head into the office, on the screen we have a monitoring dashboard, and I grab my favorite Diet Mountain Dew that I'm completely addicted to start my morning, and a biscuit, and begin going to my desk to sit down to explore the situation. So as I look at my live real-time data to my inventory and bikes, what we have here is an active dashboard with Q&A enabled. So if I want to take a look at, for instance, show available bikes, let's do bikes available, maybe greater than 3, by address, I can get a feeling for as map. I can live query and get a feeling for where the bikes are located. Q&A allows me to, if IT hasn't set up the system for me, I can just on the fly ad hoc query the system to find out some questions that I just may want to answer that were not predefined. Digging deeper in, I know that I want to go ahead and look and pull inventory. There's a couple stations that I usually pull inventory from. So I'm going to go ahead and dig into the individual reports that power the dashboard components that I was looking at on the screen. So in this case, I can dig a bit further, and I know that I have a team member, Carmela, out in the field. So I can take a look at, I've got bikes available. If I just simply highlight, I can see there's quite a few in the central location that don't have enough bikes, and we know they're going to be quite busy. And I can start to pull from some of the locations nearby that have plenty of bikes available. The other thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to look at the negative tweets. So again, my passionate members, ensuring that they are indeed happy, I can narrow down to the different addresses that I should be focused on and go ahead and send an email to Carmela and a notification for her to take a look at where she could pull some bikes. If I do want to take a different look at this, it's a little confusing still. I'm not sure where to pull bikes from. I can, right within the browser itself, create my own report on the fly. So in this case, I may want to look at total open slots. I want to make sure that if I do pull Carmela, I'm having or working on pulling bikes to a location that can actually accept bikes, because I wouldn't want her to have the bikes just not locked up on the stations there. So we'll look at total open spots, and we'll look at bikes that we can pull. We're going to look again at, they'll take this and we'll look at it by address. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this into, I'm going to change the visualization type to a scatter. I'm going to go ahead and stretch it out so I can see this a little better on the screen. And now I'm just going to drag address on. And we're going to look now, we're going to size it by negative tweets. So if I take a look and I see negative tweets, I'll go ahead and drop that on as well, and it will size to that. So this is a little loud. It's still hard for me to filter through this visually. So what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and filter the information here at the chart level to look at where are the most tweets. So I'm going to go ahead greater than or equal to about 5 tweets. Then I know I've got quite a few unhappy writers. This really narrows down exactly where I should focus on. And in this case, I'm going to look at, I happen to know higher slots and bikes available. These are ones, if they're unhappy, there's something not quite right. So I'm going to go ahead, and I know which stations now to let Carmela take a peek at and pull some bikes on her way to work this morning. So I'm going to go back. I'm not going to save that. I'm going to go ahead and go back, and I'm going to share this now and enter in Carmela's address. And this is not Carmela's address. I'm just making it up. So essentially, I send that to Carmela. And now she happens to like iPad. So on her view, she can go ahead and take a look at, again, she's seeing these in real time. She's received an alert. She can now explore and see where she may want to, and she may email me back and tell me how she's going to be rearranging the bikes there. So she's taking a look on the iPad app and exploring some of the same information that I did from my office, the live data sets here and the inventory levels, all touch-friendly on her native app there. And she's also, she has a plan together. Now she's going to pick a few of these tiles here to be her favorite tiles so that she doesn't get annoying emails from me. She can actually proactively monitor sentiment while she's on the road, in the field, working today. So in that demonstration, we went through a full life cycle of real-time inventory monitoring using various different pieces with folks in the field getting actionable insight when and where they need it most. So what powered that? Essentially, the Power BI vision is to empower anyone to securely connect and explore their data sources, create dashboards, get intelligent real-time insights, and proactive alerts. So a lot of times, one of the passions that I have with analytics is making it actionable and also being proactive, not reactive. So as the Power BI platform was reimagined, the engineering team really wanted to build a modern turnkey hybrid analytics solution platform itself. We wanted to provide immediate value, built-in best practices, elastic scale, but something really very different this time is really making it flexible and extendable to the partner community and to the ISVs, to the system implementers, to the partners in our community that build connectors. So really opening it up. And I'm going to be showing you some different ways today that we've done that. And various pieces, as you'll notice, in this new release are not just for that non-technical user, but also for the BI Pro to empower that technical user to have governed, managed self-service BI. So what we saw in the demonstration was live dashboards with streaming that support streaming data sets essentially the data sets that were coming from the biking stations and the social sentiment that was coming in to monitor our memberships. So we were having true live dashboards. We saw natural language query that someone that manages bikes and inventories, they're not writing SQL code. They just want to simply ask questions of their data in the manner that they're used to, like they would do a search on the internet, for example. We're able to drill through underlying reports to discover more information and create ad hoc reports on the fly by simple drag and drop non-technical user interfaces per se. The UI is HTML5, fully responsive on web browsers. It also works on different smart devices, so even if you don't have the native apps for those devices, as long as the browser supports HTML5, it was designed to be touch-friendly. Does not necessarily need to be the IE browser. It works with Chrome and Safari, so most of the modern browsers are supported here. You noticed a few new data visualizations. That's an area the team is working on extensively to really make building this information and the analytics fun as well as being insightful. You also saw sharing with your team. So as we look going forward, what we're going to see is easier ways to ask questions of your data and continuing to build ad hoc reports, just making it simpler and faster. A few new ways to visualize data that you already see. So we are in public preview. We went in public preview on December 18th, and we're told to be somewhat quiet about it, that there was going to be more news on January 27th. So the teams itself, and you didn't see us blog too much, and we weren't digging in too deep or revealing a lot of information because of the announcement last week, and I'm going to talk about that. There was a significant pricing change, and also a freemium model was added last week. So now that we can dive deeper in, we can share a little bit more about where we're going and the types of things you'll see us investing in. And data visualization, we know, is one of the top requested areas for investment. So what you're already seeing and what you'll continue to see, at least on a monthly basis, if not more than that, are different types of visualizations rolling out. So we have, it's a funnel, and we're usually seeing funnels with sales analytics. We've added gauges. We've added tree maps, which was one of my passion hot buttons in the past to get a tree map added. Filled maps, chloropleth maps, folks call these different things, but not necessarily being limited to the circles on the map, but having it shaded by a measure per se. And it is supported in all the different countries that Big Maps support, so it is pretty much all the way around the world. You don't have to geocode your data, which is a great thing for a lot of non-technical users that don't even know what geocode means. And then last but definitely not least, combination charts, dual axis charts. And what is a bit fun is if you do have, and I'll show this in one of the later demos coming up, you can combine charts together if they share the same axes. You know, since Satya Nadella has taken over as CEO, it's been really exciting at Microsoft. We're seeing things like Microsoft loves Linux. We're seeing partnerships with Salesforce and Marketo and all these different channel, which might have been considered competitors in the past world at Microsoft. It's really a different world that we're living in today, and we're joining in together to create these unified experiences with our joint user communities. And so in the case with our software as a service template dashboards, as you see these dashboards and you play with them and as you're evaluating them, keep in mind that you as partners and BI pros out there will be able to build these yourselves, and that is an area that we're opening up for you to do, to roll those out. Essentially, it will allow the business non-technical user to get fairly immediate value. They can get a running start, they enter in their credentials, or they see an icon on the side in the Connect, and they have a complete dashboard solution with the reports underneath and the proper data sets for their credentials for an immediate running start. Another enhancement that, and this was one of the top requests that has been received, there's a lot of data on-premises today, and we've released the ability in the private preview or the public preview today for live dashboard and exploration using on-premises data sources without data copying. And that's an important point. So essentially we are live real-time issuing queries in that native data source language and rendering the results within the browser. It gives non-technical users the faster time to insight with a true hybrid solution. It is more secure than other options maybe in the cloud today. It really allows folks to leverage the millions and millions of dollars that they have in analysis services and data marts and some of the amazing data warehouses or MPP appliances that they may have on premise and not have to copy their data. The other key piece that's not on this diagram is you do not have to open a firewall port. There's usually a concern there are security concerns, so it does not leverage, it does not require that it leverages a secure Azure service bus mechanism to transfer the data. The other thing that's key is your role-based security is honored on that data source itself. So in the case with analysis service, the user's identity is leveraged in the connection string so that as these dashboards render, Susie Q is only seeing what Susie Q should be seeing data, John Doe is only seeing what John should see, so you're getting a secure role-based solution. With regards to data sources, we're already seeing more data sources. Last week we announced QuickBooks is coming, and a few other data sources were in that list as well. So one of the things that you'll notice, and one of the opportunities is partners and system integrators and BI pros out there, in addition to these data sources already being built for you by Microsoft, our partners in the community have the ability to build these as well. And they'll show up in a few different places. They'll show up within Power Query within Excel. They'll show up within the new Power Designer that I'm going to be talking about today. And they'll also show up on the web. Essentially, as a non-technical user, in this case this is probably a little bit more, we would call it on the design team an ANA or an analyst. Just making it easy to merge and transform data from this big data world with all these different data sources and cleanse the data so that it is reporting ready and it is reporting friendly without having to buy other third-party tools. That we're really striving to work on that. I'm going to show a little bit of that today. Another thing to help the ANAs of the world and some of the non-technical users that still do love Excel and they want to look up their own data and query data on the fly is the ability to manage data securely and having a governed self-service BI solution. One of the pieces you're not necessarily seeing in the public preview today, but was an aspect of Power BI, the current version in market today, is the Enterprise Data Search and Data Catalog. That's your one-stop reference directory for all the different registered data assets. Today we're publishing up, we have data stewards and we have certified queries that allow folks to do a simple online search, preview the results, take a look at some of the metadata under there to bring it in for doing mashups from those governed data sources that, as BI pros we've worked so hard all these years to prepare and create. This tool here is going to continue to evolve and become a key strategic asset in Power BI moving forward as that central source of the truth. From a sharing and collaboration perspective, right now you're just seeing a sneak peek of what's coming. Users today in the private or the public preview, I keep saying private, in the public preview are able to easily and securely share their dashboards, tiles, and specific charts with their colleagues via email. You can annotate. We added annotations last week on there, so if you want to draw before you send an email to one of your peers to take action, you can do that as well from all your different mobile devices. In the future, we'll be seeing more functionalities here for sharing with regards to these types of features. I opened up the session today, or the first demo, just showcasing the data-driven alerting that was added. Right now, you're only seeing that in the iPhone. You should be seeing in one of the next refreshes of the iPad app. We'll see alerting show up there. But essentially, what a user can do is define a metric that they want to monitor for. Maybe it's a max value, a min value, and as the data changes, it will send an alert if the threshold's been exceeded. So even though I've been talking about all of Apple products, and you're right, this is something really different for Microsoft, again being disruptive but in a really good way. Essentially, in the past it was always Windows devices first, first-class experience. That philosophy has changed a little bit. Essentially, we've rolled out in the private preview first, and then in the public preview, the iOS apps. Then what we'll be also supporting, and we announced last week, Android apps. So not just the tablets, also the smartphones as well. And of course, we'll have Windows. And it'll probably be in that order, quite frankly, iPad, Android, Windows. So you're probably really bored of slides right now. So let's take a look. I want to show you the software, the software as a service, the direct connectivity, the templated type solutions that BI pros can develop for their community. So essentially, if we explore the Power BI dashboards, there's a couple different areas on here. We have Get Data, we have Dashboards, and I can squeeze this down. We have Reports, and we have Data Sets here. And the way data gets into the system is you click Get Data, and you'll see a myriad of data source types that are available. So we have Excel workbooks, and in the case of some of my reports, I developed them in Excel 2013, Power View, and Power Query, connecting to a big data HD Insight data source and some of the social media data there. Excel workbooks support OneDrive and Business OneDrive. If you have the Business OneDrive, and Business OneDrive comes with your Office 365, essentially your Business OneDrive will allow you to do data refresh automatically. So that's a new cool feature. Power Designer, BI Designer files. This is something we're going to be talking about next. This is a really big change, again a disruptive change that will allow more users to leverage Power BI. To get Power Designer and some of the analysis service and any other downloads that we have, there's a little gear icon. So let me go to the gear icon at the top. These are where you can download the different apps that are available, the standalone apps that work in conjunction with the service. Next to that, while I'm here, I also want to point out that if you do have suggestions for what to build next, our VPs are looking very, very closely at these. You can already get a feeling, too, for what is planned by looking at the different ratings and where they stand today. If you want to get started, there's a Get Started section as well that the Power BI team has worked diligently on creating tutorials, a knowledge base, and videos to give you a running start. In the case with analysis services, when you register you download the connector and you walk through registering your on-premises SQL Server Analysis data source, it will then show up in this list. So if I were to show up, you'll see the ones within Microsoft because that's the different session here, and I've got my Gen demo. But essentially, that's where a business user would go ahead and connect to analysis services. One cool point here is if the analysis services, if you are using Excel and you're connecting and browsing and developing reporting in Excel today, that connection, if the user matches a registered server on Power BI when they upload their Excel workbook, it will just find it and connect it automatically. So it will continue to work and be live refreshed. Some of the other sources we have in here, Marketo, GitHub, Salesforce, SendGrid, and you're going to keep seeing more and more here. Today I'm going to go ahead and demo Salesforce. So all I have to do here is create Connect, and the service credentials that I use for the system will go ahead and log me into Salesforce. I'm now presented with the option, and this is where my community, I'm working a lot with different folks to build these and have them show up in here because it's a great marketing opportunity for them. There's the ability to create dashboards. There's also the ability to create reports. Now, I have my own demo dev version of Salesforce, so I don't have too many exciting reports built there yet, but if I did have reports on Salesforce, that data would pull in here. So I can simply click Connect, and you'll see that, well, that certainly wasn't supposed to show up here. You will see that it's importing data right now, and there will be on the side a new icon will show up. Here it is. It has a little green star on it, and it's bringing in my data all preloaded. So this may take a second. Oh, there we go. Perfect. So essentially here now, this is the active data. I don't have that much data. I'm just using the demo data inside of, no opportunities set to close. Basically, I'm just using the demo data that's inside the developer account of Salesforce. And these are the default templates that my BI pros created for me to get up and running with the best practices of using Salesforce data, and everything is contextually sensitive, and you can edit these and author these and basically explore them just as you would any other Power View type data source right here within the browser. So that, when I talk about being able to deliver rapid results and quickly enabling some of the business users that are non-technical to get up and running, that's another way that we're delivering that with Power BI today. Moving on to how other ways that you can create content and analyze data. We still have Excel BI, all the different various Power BI add-ins. I want to assure everyone on this call that those are not going away. Essentially what we're seeing, a couple different things that we're seeing happen here. Folks had a challenge installing the latest version of Microsoft Excel. It was easier to get another type of application installed, just about any other application aside from upgrading Office. So we've heard the cries loud and clear and came up with an answer. And the answer is Power BI Designer. And Power BI Designer fills a couple different roles. Essentially, it stands side by side. If you had Excel 2003, if you were on the Macintosh, you wanted to use parallels, you could essentially use Power BI Designer. You don't have to have, you can have 32-bit Office. In the case of my Microsoft image, they still push out 32-bit Office, but I'm a data person, I want 64-bit apps. So in that case, I'm leveraging a 64-bit operating system with 64-bit Power BI Designer. And so it does enable some of those scenarios and use cases that were a fairly big challenge for the analysts, the Annas, and our personas in the past. Another thing that Power BI Designer does is unifies the experience, and you're only getting a small taste of that today. So some of the other feedback the product team received through the years was, it started with Power Pivot, then we added Power View, and then there was Power Query. It started to get really confusing. So what is Power BI? It's all these power tools. It's really, really confusing. I don't know where I should be loading data. I don't know what tool to use when. It's just getting cumbersome and confusing, and I just want to change a measure, and I want to do that on the UI. Why do I have to go all the way back to the model? All of that feedback was very valid. So one of the things you're seeing with Power BI Designer is a lot of the user experience is improving. We're also going to make it easier for that business user. If you just want to change a field, just do so right when you're creating visualization, so that it's all very, very, very fluid and a much better experience than bouncing between different tools. You'll see Power Designer is, very, very quickly updating right now. In the private preview, we're updating weekly. And in the public preview so far, I think we've only updated once so far on Power BI Designer. So we're probably looking at about once a month right now. But you'll see incremental releases. This is something that will update very, very quickly, as opposed to some of the functionality in Excel Power View, which is a little slower to update due to the native features within Excel that rev with an entire release of Excel per se. So we're going to try to keep as many features in parity as we can. However, Power BI Designer, probably over time, will grow up a little quicker, and you'll see enhancements here a bit quicker. Power BI Designer, it does have, it's called a PBIX file type. Even though you can publish reports and dashboards to the service, just like you can upload Excel documents to publish your dashboards and reports to the Power BI dashboards. You can use it standalone as well. There are no restrictions, and it will stay free. So just another way for some of the more experienced Microsoft folks to understand what they're seeing when they see Power BI Designer. Right now, today, in the Power BI preview, it's about 4 months old. It's a young product. So keep that in mind as you're reviewing it. We're going to be doing a lot of enhancements. What you see right now is Power Query baked in with about the Power Pivot V1 relationship and automatic relationship detection, except we got many-to-many relationship types baked in today already. And there's a few good blogs out by our MVPs in the community on how to use that. And you're also seeing Power View. What you'll notice is we're not calling Power View, we're just calling it Report. And we're not calling Power Query, and Power Pivot. We're just calling it Query and Report View. And you'll start to see just a little bit more fluid experience in this particular desktop solution. So our goals here as an engineering team are to create an elegant end-to-end solution that allows anyone to author BI reports, right? Remove all those dependencies that we've had in the past, and allowing both direct connect and in memory. Today you're only seeing in memory. Making relationships, that robust modeling experience that you have in Power Pivot today, enabling it here as well. So essentially, you're only seeing the V1 experience today, but you will see the modeling, and you will start to see over time some of the user experiences and calculations and whatnot that you have in Power Pivot. We do have Power Query baked in there as well. So if you do, and again, this is where my husband is a data analyst. Actually, he's doing some more project management now, but he still analyzes costs on projects. He spends most of his time taking data from our SSRS and taking data from one person's Excel spreadsheet and project server, and he's mashing it up all together. That's where he's spending all his time. So really just cleansing up the data, transforming it, bringing it all together. That's one of the things that Power Query does a wonderful job of today. What you'll see from a data sources perspective is you'll see the data sources that are in Power Query start to show up inside of Power Designer and within in the web experience as well. So let's take a peek at the Excel authoring and Power BI Designer authoring. So right now I'm in Excel 2013. This was released, and I remember because I was the product, I was on the marketing side in July 2013 when this came alive in preview version then. So this has been around for a while. What necessarily was added last year was Power Query. Now it's the ability to publish these, to have the full HTML experience. So it's all starting to come together. But basically, there's been the ability. We have Power Query here. If I look, I've got Power View, Power Query, Power Pivot. So this is what I'm talking about. You'll still have these wonderfully powerful add-ins, but it's going to be unified inside the Power BI Designer experience. In this case here, if I take a look at how my demos that I created earlier or created, I can go in and take a look at the cleansing, especially with big data, sentiment data, scoring it, getting rid of the noise, splitting data, so taking it and looking at all these different duplicates. This is, for the most part, where folks pivoting and unpivoting, replacing errors. This is where the Annas of the world, like my husband, and I'm sure there's some Annas on this call today, this is where you're spending a lot of your time. We also have the ability, maybe you just, not everybody has an easy business logic rule, so we do have the ability to extend these with powerful language, which is similar to some of the other VBA languages that maybe Annas have used in the past. But it's a fairly powerful transformation, not necessarily, again, it's free, you don't have to buy a separate ETL tool just to cleanse and leverage data as a business user. And once you have your data ready, then you can insert a sheet. In this case, and I'm not going to go through a full Power View demo here because this is something hopefully most folks have already seen. I don't want to bore them here. But essentially, the Power View report that we have, we can add the different visualization types here. It's fully interactive, and all I had to do was upload this to the web experience to show, and this is where my reports came for these particular dashboards that I showed you earlier. So I essentially uploaded them. The other piece to my demo that I showed initially, if I pick it apart and you look at the different components, is I used the new Power BI Designer. Power BI Designer, it is an MSI, so it is a, we'll eventually get there. Here we go. It is a desktop tool. We mentioned the PBIX file types. But in this case, we have our getting started right at the screen here. You don't have to show this if you want. You can just toggle off the show this page. But we have links here to get you up and running really quickly with some of the tutorials. And in this case, to develop the quick social analytics that I had there for looking at negative and positive sentiment, I went ahead and loaded data from the Excel file that was pointing to that HD insight. And you can see there's all sorts of different data sources. Last month we added ODBC, which opens up a whole world in and of itself. I was connecting to, I think it was the Hortonworks, and ironically I think they're the sponsor here. It wasn't a plug, I literally did this to my Hortonworks VM just to see how that would work. But you could leverage all these different things, SAP Business Object Universe, all these different data sources that are available here. So in this case here, I'm just going to connect to some of the social data that I already have. And to give you a feeling, this experience would be really similar if I had SQL Server or a relational data source installed. I can go ahead and say select multiple items and start bringing in. And this is how I would mash up data in the Power Designer experience. So I'm going to take a look here, and I've got the option now. It's going to be hard for some folks to see this, so I'm going to go ahead and make it a little bigger. You can either load the data directly, and what load will do is it's going to put you into the report screen, or you can choose to edit the query. And editing the query is if you want to do a little bit of transformation, if you want to get that Power Query-like experience that folks are used to. So if you do want to edit the query, what you'll notice here is we have all the different functionalities just baked in that we had in Power Query. There may be some other ones here with regards to time. We're doing a lot of work around easing time intelligence and making that very user-friendly for folks. Things like quick calculations, just making it as easy as possible and as quick as possible to get up and running. From the reporting side, it's going to now load data. This is another area we're working on right now. Again, this product's about 4 months old, so we're working on really improving performance here to load the data. What we'll see for folks that have been longtime Power Pivot fans, you'll have your managed relationships, and this is similar to the view that you might have seen with the auto detect inside of Excel. So it does look at the relationships. It will detect keys, your foreign key relationships inside of a database there. If you do want to create a new one, you can create a new one there. I'm not going to create a new one in this case. For many-to-many relationship detection, you would use the cross-filtering. So really, this, when you talk about mashing data between different sources, this will give your users a running start. Another thing that you'll notice we did is just you can quickly drag and drop and see immediate results. So again, really making it as user-friendly as possible. And what you'll see here is a lot of the same things that we saw in the browser. So you can author in the browser from all those different devices. You can also author on the desktop. In this case, that's not exactly, I wanted to look at tone score, which is what we were monitoring. So I don't want you to think that I forgot what my demo is here. So we're going to look at tone score. There it is. And I'm going to just drag out, instead of the ID value, I want to look at tone score by app. And I want to look at, let's see, tweet and platform by tone score. So I already have, oh, there we go. Let's throw tone score into this one too. And I'll go ahead and I'm going to create one more here for date and platform. And instead of having that there, let's grab date again for the axes. And what you can do is if these, remember I mentioned if the axes matched, I can simply drag and drop and create a combination chart. The other thing that will happen is we do have the ability, in this case, you'll see it's also dual access. It will automatically detect if dual access is necessary. And again, here we have all the contextual filtering. I'm going to go ahead and show one more thing. It's a frequently asked question that I get even from some of the industry analysts. It's really interesting. So essentially, there is the ability, and there has been the ability since July 2013, to do drill down. It doesn't have to be one level on these axes. And to do drill down, so if I want to have, say, by tone score by app, but I also want to know the specific device that was used, what I did was simply drag and drop on the axis here the ability to drill down. You know, I want to be able to drill down with that. So now if I look at, say, by Twitter, I can double click on it, and now I can see by device it's either other or it's by phone. And if I want to drill back up, I can simply right click and I'll get the option to drill up. And it's not necessarily limited there. But that seems to be one of the frequently asked questions. And again, here what we'll see is I could change this to be many types of different views. Let's take a look maybe by tweet and platform, and we'll put a tree map on here. And for folks that don't realize when's a good time to use a tree map, it's when you have too many bars where it just doesn't make sense on the bar chart anymore. It's really, really hard to decipher. That's essentially when it makes sense to use a bar chart. So we'll take a look at by platform. And we'll look at tweet score. Again, keep getting tone score. And we'll look at source. So in this case, if I create, oh, it wasn't exactly what I wanted to do there. Let's take a look at source at the details level. Look at tone score by source. There we go. That's what I wanted to do. See, if you make mistakes in your demo, it's pretty easy to recover. So essentially now I can go ahead to my tree map, and that's a much easier way to see the tree map there. I can also add grouping by details, so if I want by platform, I can get a better feeling for what's going on there. When I do have one of these, I can go ahead and create. We've got the filtering capability, all the different things here. I can go ahead and save this. What you'll start to see is an easy, we may be adding a button here which just says publish. Right now, if you want to publish this online like I did to create mine, I can go to File, Save As, and File, Save, and simply go into my site, the dashboard that I want. In this case, my dashboard, I have social media over here. I'll just go into my Get Media, or Get Data, Power Designer file, and now I can point to my file, and we'll continue to add easier ways for some of those non-technical users to add the file. So in this case here, I can go into my demo. I've got my PBIX file, and I can go ahead and just upload that. And that's how I published a Power BI Designer file. So moving on, I'm not going to dig into too much code for developers today. That's probably a whole separate easy hour session, if not longer, on its own. But I do want to just make you simply aware that we have these capabilities. If you've ever developed with LinkedIn or Twitter, what the engineering team has done is taken a similar design. It does use a RESTful API. You do have programmatic reports, controls to the dashboards, the reports, the data sources, and data sets. So when we were talking about having a live data model, essentially we're creating a data set and pushing data to it on the fly in the background. What you'll see coming in the near future will be reusable solutions, apps, custom data sources. You're already getting a peek of that in our dev portal. We talk about what's coming soon in the different connectors. So if I just peek at where this is, if you go to powerbi.com, let's go there real quick so you guys know. If you just go www, so to get started, right, you just go powerbi.com. You can sign up, and all you need is a work email address to get started for free. You can simply sign in, and if you want to use a developer center, it's right here. So what I'm talking about right now, you want to get familiar with. Maybe you want to connect this to Azure Stream Analytics, or you want to build your own connectors. You want to get started with the APIs, you can use the API console that's here. It has code snippets and things like JavaScript, PHP, Python, you name it, there's different. And of course for .NET developers, we include those as well. We also have some samples to give you guys running starts, getting started for .NET and getting started for Chrome right there in GitHub. And we're going to keep adding to those as well. Some other news that we had recently was Microsoft announced that it was acquiring Revolution Analytics. They're really excited about that and looking at different ways to integrate that into various solutions within Microsoft, so stay tuned on that front. The big news last week, and I imagine I'm already seeing, I guess, the flood of inquiries from my valued partner community and from friends in my network, etc., was the pricing announcement. And this is why the product team wasn't allowed really to blog much or to make much noise over the holidays, was because there was a significant pricing announcement. So Microsoft has announced that Power BI, this vNext, and even there will be a free version. So a lot of what I demoed to you today will be available for free. There will also be a pro version for things like hybrid connectivity to your on-premises data sources, streaming data at much larger rates than is available in the free version. And that has dropped from $33 per user per month, 75% to $9 per user per month. And just so you know, I've analyzed the industry in the past, and typically you're seeing prices about $1,500 to $3,000 per user for systems. So at $120 per user, this is a pretty compelling offer. So if you want to get started today, sign up for a free preview account, take the tour, read through some of the getting started. We have an extensive knowledge base that's already growing with many different topics in there. The team itself, the engineers themselves that have designed the solutions have created their own YouTube videos. They're responsible for doing that. And register on the developer portal. And if you are a developer or ISV, I'm certainly happy to talk to you, and we can help onboard you into the solution today. So any questions?
Thank you very much, first of all, Jen, for that fantastic session. We actually do have quite a few questions, and now it's, I'm just going to kind of try and cover them broadly, because there's actually quite a few. So the first one is...
Oh, yeah, I usually do get quite a few, so that makes sense.
Yeah, so there's a lot of enthusiasm for trying this. There's obviously on the homepage of powerbi.com, it says it's USA only at the moment. Do you have anything that you can share at this time around, like, maybe when that might be kind of becoming a bit broader in its adoption?
Yes, I will go ahead and share that. So within the next 30 to 60 days, you should see in English languages rolled out to the different countries that have Office 365 today. So we will see a lot more countries. It just won't necessarily be in your locale per se or in your native language yet. Another thing that I want to make sure is really clear, and I know I mentioned it, but the power tools are not going away. The other thing that you're not seeing in here is Excel services, and Excel services will absolutely be in here. We won't go to GA without it. So all the folks that love their pivot tables and pivot charts, like my husband, he loves tables. He's not into all these graphics. He just wants his table of data with conditional formatting. That will be there before we go GA.
Okay, that's fantastic. And also, if we could, there's a lot of interest around cloud-based connectivity, and specifically, I think there was a question around SQL Azure and generally bringing in data from the cloud. So Caitlin was asking that question.
Okay.
I assume there's no issues there.
No. So actually, those data sources are supported more on the live level, right? So things like the QuickBooks Online and Salesforce and Marketo and SQL Azure. The analysis services also works if you are infrastructure as a service and you're leveraging that. I get that from our internal Microsoft users. I get that question a lot. It works there as well. Okay, that's fantastic. I think there's a lot of enthusiasm for the iOS Me too.
for the app, so that's very exciting. There's a couple of things about there are a lot of questions about like what the drill down might look like for that, and how you do those kind of gestures on the app. But
and I debated, I didn't know how many folks are going to be on the call because you have to use, there's a nice service called Web AirServe that you can, on a wireless connection, do live demos, and I was just a little nervous to do that. That's why I used the pictures.
Yeah.
You can install those today, and you can get those alerts and set them up right now. So essentially, go into your Apple Store and on the iPad or on your iPhone, go ahead and look for the Microsoft Power BI mobile app, install it, and you can start to play with it. So it is touch-friendly. To set up the user alerts today only works on the tiles, and you'll see other measures and means coming in the future. But if you do want to play around with, essentially what I opened the demo with today, that's how you would do that. Okay,
and also, is it with analysis services? Is there an option around a multi-dimensional, or is that in a roadmap question, or should people be putting?
I'm actually really happy you asked that question. So tabular is first because the code was written first to work with the Canvas and Power View. So although the platform was rewritten to remove things like the SharePoint dependencies, to allow things like Direct Connect and not, without data copies. One of the things that we had worked on really hard was making Power View that transition right from Silverlight to HTML. Well, that's just about done. The tabular rendering of those data sets was already written, so that was pulled in. That's the only reason you're not seeing multidimensional there right now. It's absolutely coming. It is dependent on a few more things on the Canvas, so you probably won't see that right away. But it should be coming in the upcoming. I don't want to give an exact timeline.
Yeah.
But it is absolutely coming. The other thing that you're not seeing yet either is color control. That's the #1, completely good. And that is again another Canvas item that is coming. It's not that we're completely not creative people. We don't want to. We want to limit you. No, it's coming.
Okay, and that's fantastic. And I think one of the great things about PowerBI.com is just how quickly those refreshes and that new innovation is coming through it. I think that's genuinely very exciting. I think
at past conference, James Phillips, who's our VP, mentioned we could do weekly releases. We've been the mobile BI team's been surprising me with more than something almost like bi-weekly. It just pops up and all of a sudden there's a release, which is quite exciting. The web version, I was seeing a weekly release during private preview, and now that we're in public preview, it's about a monthly release right now.
Okay.
It's much faster, and a lot of things going out. So very, very rapid development.
Yeah, and that I think is where we're going to have to leave it, I'm afraid. I just want to thank Jen for taking the time to speak with us. She will be speaking at a breakout session at the PAST Business Analytics Conference on best practices for mobile dashboard design. I thoroughly recommend you take that opportunity to come and see her, meet her in person, and join us at the BAC event. We've got another 5 webinars coming up now. So if you are looking to join on to the next one, please register in for that. And if last but not least, the free education that PAST provides doesn't end here. You are more than welcome to sign up through the PAST virtual chapters for business analytics domains that include the business analytics virtual chapter, Excel BI, business intelligence, big data, and cloud. And thank you very much for your time, and thank you again to Jen for her time. And I think that's it for us. And
well, have a successful rest of the day.
Thank you.